بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبع هداه. أما بعد. So last week we spoke about the iqlab. Any questions from last week about the iqlab? So today we'll be speaking about the last rule of an-nun sakina wa tanween, as promised. And the last rule is the ikhfa. And the ikhfa, we're going to speak about it today and next week, as we said, because it's probably the most difficult compared to the other three rules. The other three rules are the idhar, the idgham, and the iqlab, right? So I'm saying it's more difficult than the other three rules so that you make more effort, not to intimidate you, but just for you to make more effort when it comes to the ikhfa. It's more difficult in terms of how to apply it, how to do it. So last week we spoke about the iqlab and we mentioned only one letter, and that letter was the ba. And when we spoke about the idgham, we spoke about 6 letters. Yarmalun. The letters are grouped in the word yarmalun. And when we spoke about the idhar, we also spoke about 6 letters. The hamza, the ha, the kha, and the ayn and the ghayn. Right? So what do we assume in terms of letters when we talk about the ikhfa? The rest of the letters belong to this group. How many letters are we talking about? Yes. 15. So if we say, first, do you agree with Brother Hanif? Alaikum salam. You agree with Brother Hanif? Do you agree? Yeah? You agree with him? Alright. If we say the letters of ikhfa are 15, what are we assuming in terms of the total? 28 letters, is that? You said the same thing, Brother Hanif? 28 letters. We are assuming that the letters of the total letters of the alphabet is 28. Is the total letters of the alphabet, the Arabic alphabet, 28?
Yeah.
Yes?
Depends, right?
Yes.
If you count Hamza as separate.
It depends. All right. Anybody has a different opinion? Is there a consensus in terms of how many letters the Arabic alphabet has?
بالترتيب هي في 29 و 28.
But is there a consensus في إجماع؟
لا.
اختلف العلماء. There is a difference of opinion in terms of how many letters, as Brother Hanif mentioned a few minutes ago, and this is due to the hamza and the alif, whether they are one letter or whether they are 2 letters, right? Obviously, if you say 28, that means you are assuming that the hamza and the alif are 1 letter, and if you say 29, you are assuming that the hamza and the alif are 2 different letters. And this is the opinion of Sibawayh, one of the opinions, that it is 29. Of course, when we say 29, of course we are assuming that the hamza and the alif are 2 letters, but here the alif is not actually similar to the other letters, right? It's basically a sound coming from the throat more than anything else, right? It's not like a stand-alone letter, right? The alif in this case is the alif of mad. When we say, let's say, the word naran, or the word al-qari'ah, the alif of mad here, and so on, it is an alif of mad. And this alif of mad doesn't have a fatha or a kasra or a dhamma, because any other letters will have all these options. It will have either a sukoon or a fatha or a kasra or a dhamma or a tanween. But in this case, the alif is the alif of mad. It's only used for mad. Right? So in our case, we are assuming that the alphabet has 28. We are not counting the alif of mad in this case. So the 15 letters here that we'll be talking about here are grouped in a line of poetry that is written in the document that I emailed you. I'm not going to write it down on the board. I mean, it's a long one. And for those who will find it easy to memorize, then you can go ahead and memorize it if you haven't already done so. Otherwise, if you think that it's easier to just minus from the alphabet the letters of the letters of idhar and the letters of idgham and the letter of iqlab, then the rest you don't actually need to memorize them. So the rest are ikhfa. So if you are looking at a letter, if it doesn't belong to the idhar, if it doesn't belong to the idgham, if it's not a ba, that means it's ikhfa, right? Without knowing really what are the letters, without having to memorize the letters. Otherwise, the sentence or the poetry is صف ذا ثنا كم جاد شخصا كم جاد شخص قد سما دم طيبا زد في تقى ضع ظالما. This sentence, the first letter of each word is the letter of إخفاء. Is the letter of إخفاء. So we have 15 letters. What else we will have with the إخفاء? We will have a 2 haraka timing, similar to the idgham with the ghunna. Right? So that means we're going to be making it long. So we have 2 haraka in terms of timing. And we will have the ghunna as a result. What does the word إخفاء means? What does the word إخفاء means? Yahya. What does? Say again?
My hand's not up.
I know, yeah. But I'm asking you, do you want to answer this? What does the word إخفاء means?
I don't know.
All right. Anybody else? Brother Hanif?
To hide something?
To hide something. All right. أخفى, the word أخفى means he hid something. أخفى. أخفى يخفي. إخفاء. So it's to hide something. What are we hiding? The sound of the noon. The sound of the noon. And they say the definition of إخفاء, we were talking linguistically, but technically the definition of إخفاء is a degree between the إظهار and the إدغام. It's in between the إظهار, showing the noon, and the إدغام. So it is in between. But for a person to learn that it is in between the إظهار and the إدغام, it doesn't really help very much, right? It helps if the person learns how to do it. But if I tell a person it is in between, it doesn't really help when it comes to practicing this. That's why we need to know how to put it into practice. The theory is that it is in between. Yeah, maybe a lot of people know it is in between, but then how do you practice it? Most people will not be able to do it properly. So let's see, let's take a couple of examples, and then we'll come back and explain some more. One of the most popular words found in the Quran is the word kuntum. I don't know how many times the word kuntum is mentioned in the Quran, but I know for certain that it's quite a bit. Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nas, and so on, these kind of examples. And also the word antum, which is pretty similar to this. Kuntum and antum. You were. Kuntum means you were. So in the word kuntum, we have a noon sakina. And after the noon sakina, we have the letter ta, right? And the letter ta, if I don't memorize the letters of ikhfa, the letter ta is not one of the letters of idhar, and it's not one of the letters of idgham, yarmalun, and it's not a ba, obviously. So it must be a letter of ikhfa. So we have ikhfa. So if a person were to pronounce the noon, he would say kuntum, right? Kuntum. If I say kun, that means I pronounce the noon. But instead I will be saying kuntum. The difference is that when I say kun, when I pronounce the noon, the tongue touches the upper palate. Try it. Kun. When you say kun, tum. The reason is, and this is probably very specific to the two letters, the noon and the meme. And you will see that the noon and the meme have special rules. The noon and the meme, you notice, if you try to pronounce all the letters when you go home, that all the air will have to come out of the nose. That means the tongue will be blocking the passage of air. The air will not be able to come out of the mouth. When you say kun, if you pronounce the noon, you are blocking the passage. So all the air has to come through the nose. But instead, if I have to hide the noon, I have to basically keep my tongue away from the upper palate, and as a result, the some of the air will come out of the mouth, right? Kuntum, like this, kuntum. so the exercise when you go home, if you don't know how to make ikhfa, the first step towards learning how to do it is to physically hold your tongue down, right? You do like this, kuntum. Right, you hold it down. Kuntum. Just make sure it is down, or at least a little bit down. Kuntum. The difference is very, very subtle between, if we're comparing the idgham and the ikhfa, right? That's why a person who is not experienced, or a person who did not take Tajweed, may not see a big difference between saying kuntum and between saying kuntum, right? It may not be very clear to a person who doesn't have experience to notice a difference. All right. Before we take another example, let's compare it with the idgham. Compare it in terms of the way we pronounce it, not as we usually do. compare the technical details. But the way we pronounce it, let's compare it with an example of idgham in the way we pronounce it. Let's take this example here. In this example, we have a nun sakina followed by the ya, idgham bi ghunna. So we have idgham bi ghunna because the ya is one of the letters of idgham bi ghunna, which is yanmu, the 4 letters, one of the 4 letters grouped in the word yanmu. So we have idgham bi ghunna. So here we said, when we talked about the idgham, instead of saying man yakun, we say may yakun, may yakun. So if we are comparing this, again, we are comparing the way we are pronouncing or the way we are doing the idgham versus the way we are trying to hide the noon here. We're comparing may yakun with kuntum. What can we say about this? Yes, brother.
The two haraka in the إخفاء
yeah.
is for the noon, but for the idgham is for the حرف الإدغام اللي هو الياء.
All right, that's a good point.
من يكن there كنتم.
All right, it's a very good point. It's a very good point. Here, you notice, if I may say it differently, the two haraka, basically, I didn't pronounce the ta yet. I'm saying kun, but I didn't pronounce the ta yet. Kuntum. When I finish the two haraka, then I pronounce the ta. But here, when I say may, I already pronounce the ya. So basically, I'm doing the two haraka right here, in this area. But here in the kuntum, I'm doing the two haraka before the ta. It is an important distinction. What else? Yes, brother.
We can still hear the noon.
We can still
the noon in the إخفاء.
In the ikhfa, we can still hear the noon.
But in the idgham there is nothing.
That's true. In the ikhfa, we can still hear the noon. Kuntum versus the idgham may, right? It's more apparent in the ikhfa, which also means that if I'm hiding something, if I'm hiding this cup behind my back like this, it doesn't mean that it's not there, right? It is there. We know it's there. It's just hiding. So the noon, similarly, the noon is hiding, but it's there, right? A hint of it is still there. What else can we say? Yes, brother.
النون في الإخفاء ممكن تكون في وسط الكلمة أو في آخر الكلمة.
We'll come back to that. That's something different. We're talking about the way we pronounce it, but we'll come back to this. Yes, jazakallah khair. It's a good one.
مخرج الحرف, the way you pronounce, like
The way you pronounce what? The noon?
yeah, like if you see the إخفاء,
Mm-hmm.
like as you said, like the tongue is down, and the idgham, you touch the above, like you, all the noon come from your nose.
All right. It's similar to what we said. What we said at the beginning, because we are putting the two haraka here. So basically, we are trying to pronounce the noon, or we are trying to hide it, but we are still in this area, the area of the noon. But in the other one, in the idgham, we went straight to the ya. May, we are trying to pronounce a ya. So it's maybe similar to what you're trying to say, and also similar to the first point that that Brother Mahmoud made. But there is something else. There is still just one final point here. If
Maybe the ghunna is on the harf in the idgham, but the ghunna is on the noon in the ikhfa.
I don't know if we can say that. If we can say that the ghunna is on the letter of إخفاء compared to the noon itself. Because the ghunna exists in both of them. And the ghunna, when we talk about the ghunna, we are talking about the noon. Right? The ghunna, as we said last time, it's a sifa, it's a feature, it's a characteristic of the noon. So if it comes out, whether it came out while we were pronouncing the noon or while we are pronouncing the ya, it is still part of the noon. Right? It is still part of the noon. But what I want you to concentrate on is this area here, the ta in the case of ikhfa and the ya in the case of idgham. This is what we need to concentrate on, and tell me something about that area. Jazakallah khair, Brother Adil. We notice that here we pronounce it as if there is a shadda in the idgham. We pronounce it as if there is a shadda. We are saying may yakun, and they do put a shadda in the mushaf. The shadda is not part of the word, it's just a way of telling the reciter that you have to make more emphasis on it. So here I'm saying may yakun. I'm putting emphasis on the ya as if it has a shadda. But in the word kuntum, I'm saying kuntum. I'm not doing anything to the ta. The ta is pronounced like normally. Tum. I'm not saying tum. Right? So this is also a major difference in terms of pronunciation. We will compare the technical details a little bit later on after we give more examples. But this is a major difference in the way we pronounce it. Kuntum versus may yakun. So the emphasis here is on the ya. May yakun compared to kuntum. Right? All right. Let's give another example of ikhfa. What is the rule here, Brother Hanif? Idhar. All right. Do you agree with him?
Yes.
You all agree. Nobody disagrees. I'm kind of disappointed. He said idhar. Is this true? It is إخفاء. All right. Is it إخفاء?
No, it's not.
It is إظهار. The letters of إظهار, Hamza, Ha, right? Ha, Kha, Ayn. It's very easy to get confused. The reason is the reason is that, I don't know if I mentioned this when we talked about the ibhar. It is as if something is missing from these, something that is similar to these letters. Did I mention this? No. Here, when we see a jim, and it's probably a common mistake. When we see a jim, we would think that it belongs to this group because it looks similar. It is similar to a ha and a kha. There is nothing similar to ayn and ghayn because they are both here, right? But the ha and the kha, if we find a jim, we would think that it belongs to this group, right? Or if we find a kha, we would think that it belongs to the ikhfa. And actually, the kha is one of the letters here, right? In the word ikhfa, there is the word kha. Right? So we are tempted to put the word or put the letter in a different group. If it is a jim, we are tempted to put it with the idhar, and if it is a kha or a ha, we are tempted to put it in the ikhfa, right? But actually, it's not one of the words of ikhfa. The example that I was trying to write on the board is actually minjur. So Brother Hanif was right actually. So the example that I intended to write is minjur, because this is where we have, what do we have? Ikhfa, right? So we have a noon, sakina, followed by a jim, and the jim is not one of these letters, obviously, and it's not one of the letters of idgham, yarmalun, and it's not a ba. So it is a letter of ikhfa. So here, how do we say this, Brother Hanif? All right. Did we hear the noon? A little bit. So we say min ju', and we want to make sure, because the noon is always pronounced by the tongue touching the upper palate and closing the basically the area for any air to come out. So the noon is always going to be present when we are doing the ikhfa. So we will be tempted to pronounce it the same way. We will be tempted to say min. So every time we have a ikhfa, we have to make sure that our tongue doesn't touch the upper palate, and it doesn't close the way to the air to come out from the mouth. Min ju'. If we hear min ju', if a person says like this, what did he do? Like if he says min ju', idhar with ghunna. I would say, yeah, it's idhar with ghunna in terms of ghunna, but it's idgham in terms of idgham bi ghunna in terms of timing, because he made the two haraka and he made the ghunna. The only thing that was missing is that he didn't hide the noon, right? And you will hear people. You have three categories of people. The first category is the people who maybe never took Tajweed, so they would say min ju'. They would read it normally, min ju', without making it longer or without hiding the noon. The second category is the ones who maybe learned it, but they didn't learn it properly, or they didn't know how to practice it properly. So they would say min ju', as the example we gave earlier, where a person makes the two haraka, he makes the ghunna, but he pronounces the noon. So he didn't do the ikhfa. Is he better than the one who didn't do anything? He's definitely better. He's one step closer to doing it properly, right? He's one step closer. And finally, the person who knows how to do it, and he would hide the noon by saying min ju'. And probably there's another category where the person is like a professional and he pronounces it properly, right? It may not be enough to hide the noon, as we'll see next week, inshallah, when we go into more details about the ikhfa. It's not enough to hide the noon if you want to do it like professionally. but to be able to pronounce it properly, or to hide it properly, to hide it in a certain way. All right. What did we notice here so far in these two examples? This one and this one. Yes, Brother Hanif?
And the rule of ikhfa can be applied within a word and
Jazakallah khair. That's what I wanted to hear, and also it was mentioned a few minutes earlier by Brother Mahmoud, is that the ikhfa happens within a word, and it also happens in two words. Right? So from the four rules that we took so far, only the ikhfa and the iqlab happen within a word. The other ones, the idhar. The idhar. The idhar happens within a word, yes, that's true. The idgham does not happen within the word. Right? The idgham doesn't happen within a word. What does it mean in terms of the frequency of this rule?
It should be too frequent.
Very frequent, right? Very frequent, because something that doesn't happen within a word, if it only happens in two words, that means it's less frequent, right? So the ikhfa happen within a word and also in two words, so that means it's much more frequent, and it is indeed much more frequent. Of course, the idhar is frequent, is more frequent because it's the natural way of reading it, or the natural way of reading the letters. So we are not going to compare it with the idhar in terms of frequency, because in the idhar we are not doing anything special. But in the ikhfa we are doing something special, right? We are making an effort to do it. So it is frequent. That means if a person does not know how to do the ikhfa properly, he will be making a lot of mistakes, right? The person will be making a lot of mistakes. And anything that is frequent, we want to make sure we get it right. Anything that is frequent, we want to make sure we get it right. We already said about the noon, sakin, and tanween as a whole, the noon, sakin, and tanween with its all four rules, but it is very frequent. And if a person doesn't know noon, sakin, and tanween, his mistake will be exposed right away as soon as he starts reading, right? As a whole. But from the four different groups or four different rules that we took of the noon, sakin, and tanween, this one is the most frequent one, of course, without the idhar, as we said. The idhar is a normal way of pronouncing the words. All right, we'll just take another maybe 5-10 minutes just to compare the ikhfa with the idhar and the idgham and the iqlab. Or if you want, maybe two more examples with the tanween. Two more examples with the tanween. Brother Luqman, you are officially with the 15 today. Congratulations. I forgot to mention it, because Brother Najib is away. Yes, Brother Baghdad.
Question about Jumla. So we can stop after min, or we need to continue with the second word.
You will have to continue because
It's not like it. We do it.
How?
I know it's not apply in this situation.
But how would you do idgham?
It's mean like you can create a link between two words.
How?
When you pronounce it.
Yeah, I can't imagine how would you do it differently. I'm not sure. If a person assumes that there is idhar here, he would say min ju' like this. This is like if you're learning classical Arabic, without any tajweed or anything, this is how we pronounce it, right? Min ju', like this. But if you practice in tajweed, then you would say min ju', right? And actually, the reason we have ikhfa here, it is because it's easier to pronounce, right? But for us today, it is harder to do ikhfa. Right? Today for us to do ikhfa is harder. But originally, they had ikhfa here because it's easier to pronounce. If you say min ju', it's easier than saying min ju' because the point of articulation of the noon is quite far away from the jim. That's the reason we have ikhfa. If you noticed, this may be a little bit more advanced. If we are comparing the ikhfa with the idgham, for instance, the letters of idgham are very close to the makhraj of the noon, or the point of articulation of the noon. That's why we have idgham, right? But the other letters, the letters of ikhfa, are far away from the makhraj or the point of articulation of the noon. That's why we have ikhfa. And that's why if you try to do idhar here, it's very difficult. It's difficult in terms it's not smooth. You have to basically stop. You have to, maybe this is what you're trying to say, is that if you do idhar here, you have to stop. Basically, you are forced to say min ju'. It's like you are stopping. Min ju'. Right? But when you are doing ikhfa, you are not stopping. You're saying min ju'. It's a continuation, right? But if you do idhar, you say min ju'. It's like you stopped. Briefly. I'm not sure if that. We'll come back, inshallah. We'll be talking about it in more details. Yahya, jazakallah khair. You wanted to ask something? This time I saw your hand up. You forgot.
Yeah.
Okay, if you remember, let me know, inshallah. Sorry, I took too long. We were going to give 2 more examples of tanween, right? Tanween. All right. Anybody has an example in mind?
Oh, we already.
No, I was just trying to avoid the jim because we already talked about jim. Something other than from al-ghashiyah. Let's leave al-ghashiyah because we're going to come back to it. We're going to read from it.
This is the number.
Oh, is it?
Shidad.
All right, sab'an shidad. All right. Jazakallah khair. All right. This is an example from Surah Al-Naba, from Brother Yahya or Abu Yahya, or both of you, mashallah. So here we have a tanween, sab'an, and after the tanween we have a sheen, and the sheen is not one of the letters of idhar, and it's not one of the letters of idgham, yarmalun, and it's not a ba, the letter of iqlab. Therefore, it is a letter of ikhfa. So here we confirm that we have ikhfa. So we say sab'an shidada, sab'an shidada. We don't say sab'an shidada. Can you hear the difference? Sab'an, if I say sab'an shidada, I pronounce the noon. If I say sab'an shidada, it sounds different. This is the ikhfa. Sab'an shidada. The first step for a beginner, as I said, is to make sure your tongue is not touching the upper palate. This is the first step. Once you manage to do this every time, then we go to a higher level where you improve the pronunciation of the ikhfa. But the first step is to make sure the tongue is not touching the upper palate. سبعا شدادا. سبعا شدادا. It needs a lot of practice, and it is time to basically make more effort. If you haven't put like enough time in practicing this, you really have to put some time and practice this. So this is an example with the tanween. Let's give another example with the tanween. Let's say with a different letter. Different letter.
لقول فصل. لقول فصل.
لقول فصل. Alright, Jazakallah khair, Brother Adil. This is an example with the tanween. لقول, and the first letter in the next word is fasl. We have a fa, and the fa is not one of the letters of idhar. It's not one of the letters of idgham, yarmalun, and it's not the letter of iqlab, ba. Therefore, it is one of the letters of ikhfa, one of the 15 letters of ikhfa. So we would say here, لقول فصل. لقول فصل. So we don't say لقول فصل. See how the difference in sound? If I pronounce the noon, I would say لقول لقول, but instead of I'm saying لقول فصل. Yes.
So when you said سبعا شدادة, it sounded a little different than when you said لقول فصل.
Yes. We'll come back to this next week to talk about these details, right? So today the objective is to understand the ikhfa and to do at least the first step. And that's why you have 1 week, especially for those of you who are new to this. You have 1 week to at least get the tongue not to touch the upper palate for 1 week. Right? And then next week we're going to talk about maybe more specific details on how exactly are we pronouncing this. But the first step is to, as we said, to master the first step is to not to pronounce the noon. Jazakallah khair. Yes, Brother Luqman.
With the lamb there, I don't see how you can avoid your tongue not touching the upper mouth.
Trust me, you can do it.
With the lamb.
With the lamb.
With the lamb.
With other words, I can see how, but with the lamb, la cold. See, la cold.
Touch.
It is. I understand. I understand the degree of difficulty may be different from one letter to another. Right? I understand. It does happen.
Isn't it okay for the lamb to touch? It's only after pronouncing the noon that you don't touch, right?
When you pronounce the lam, your tongue doesn't touch at the end of the letter. It doesn't touch the upper palate at the end of the letter. When you say la, it touches when you start saying it, but not at the end. You don't say. Say again?
You don't say لقول, say لقول.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't touch at the end, at the beginning of pronouncing the lam. It is supposed to touch when you say lun at the end. So this is what we are trying to avoid at the end, not here. Here, of course, to pronounce the lam, it has to touch first. It touches briefly. You say la or lu at the beginning, lu. But we are trying to avoid lun, the end at the end. So instead of saying lun, we'll be saying aw lun. Alright. So to avoid saying lun. Alright. Okay. We are starting to run out of time. Maybe just a couple minutes to try to compare this with quickly with now we should be more professional in comparing the rules. Let's compare the ikhfa with the idhar quickly. Yes, brother.
With the ikhfa, you don't show it. Both the ikhfa, you show the noon and the tanween.
All right. In the ikhfa, you don't show it.
And you don't show the noon.
You don't show the noon and the tanween. In the idhar, you show the noon and the tanween. Jazakallah khair. Say again.
You say it.
You say it. You show it. Yes. Jazakallah khair. Yes, brother Hanif.
Different letters.
Different letters between the idhar and the ikhfa.
Different number of letters.
Different number of letters. Jazakallah khair. Let's give a chance to brother that. The harakat.
Yeah.
All right. In the ikhfa, we have 2 haraka, and the idhar, we have 1. Jazakallah khair. What else? Jazakallah khair. In the ikhfa, we have a gunna, and in the idhar, we don't have a gunna. Anything else? All right. What is similar between the two? Yes, brother.
The middle and the end, between two words or in the middle of the word. Both are.
All right. Both are the same in terms of they happen in the middle of a word. Within a word, and in 2 words. So this is a similarity. What else? Yes.
The noon is noticeable.
The noon is.
In the ikhfa and a lot more in the idhar.
Now we are comparing. We are trying to see the similarities, Brother Luqman.
Yes, the noon is coming to both.
Oh, it should be the same. If it's not the same, then it should be. This is something that we should have mentioned when we talked about, what is different between the two. And we already said that in the ikhfa we hide the noon, and the idhar we pronounce the noon. Maybe this is what you meant.
Yeah, we're hiding it, but like you said, it's still noticeable.
Yeah, we are not talking about the rule itself. We're talking about what is different between the idhar and the ikhfa. So this is something that is different between the idhar and the ikhfa. What else is similar? Both are ahkam noon sakina and tanween. Yes, jazakallah khair. That's it. All right. What about comparing now the ikhfa with the idgham? What is different between the idgham and the ikhfa? Yes, brother. The letters are different, and also the number of letters are different. All right, jazakallah khair. Yes, brother.
Idgham, it's happened only between 2 words, but ikhfa we can have it between 2 words or within 1 word.
Jazakallah khair. Yes, the idhar, the idgham only happens in 2 words, but the ikhfa happens within a word and between 2 words. Yes, Brother Muhammad.
الإخفاء has 2 حركة and غنة, whereas the إدغام بغير غنة only has 1 حركة and no غنة.
All right, Jazakallah khair. So in terms of غنة, the ikhfa has a غنة, but the idgham without the غنة doesn't have a غنة. Jazakallah khair. What else is different? Yes, Brother.
The noon disappears completely. Why the you can still hear it?
All right. The degree of the in terms of pronouncing the noon, or how much the noon is hidden, is more severe in the idgham compared to the ikhfa. Yes, brother.
The stress in the idgham, usually it's the word which follow the noon, but in ikhfa, the stress, shidda, it's the noon itself.
Yes, jazakallah khair. This is what we talked about when we were comparing the way we pronounce this, is that the stress is in the idgham, the stress is on the letter of idgham, but there is no stress here on the letter of ikhfa that we spoke about earlier. This is something different. What is similar between the ikhfa and the idgham? The haraka. 2 haraka For the إخفاء and for the إدغام بغنة. If you don't mention بغنة, then you're wrong. So between the إخفاء and the إدغام بغنة, because this is something we should have mentioned in the first category where it's different. The two haraka is different between the إخفاء and the إدغام without the غنة. Yes. The غنة. Both they have a غنة. Is that true?
Not completely.
Not completely true, because we have to say this is similar between the إخفاء and the إدغام with the غنة. They both have a غنة, but it is the إدغام with the غنة, not the إدغام without the غنة. All right. We still with the what is similar? Yes, Yahya.
They are both أحكام نون ساكنة أو تنوين.
جزاك الله خير. That's correct. They are both أحكام نون ساكنة and تنوين. What else? Is there any overlapping of letters? So far, there's no overlapping of letters in any of the rules that we took. Each category has its own letters, and there is no overlapping. All right. Any questions before we start reading Surah Al-Ghashiyah? And today we are adding one more ayah, which is ayah 17. So today we were supposed to read from ayah number 1 to ayah number 17. And a reminder that next week you're going to be joining these ayat. You're going to be joining them from 1 to 17. You're taking a deep breath. Okay, no questions? Who started first? You started first last week? You started first?
Last time.
All right. Okay.
From the last today.
No, we'll start from the bottom because he started first last week. So the first one on the bottom of the list, and welcoming Brother Luqman for the first time.
هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ حاشية عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين حانية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظروا إلى الإبل كيف خلقت.
Jazakallah khair. I'm going easy on you for the first time today. I know you are nervous. I'll give you an easy question. Or I think it's easy. Number 14. Ayah number 14. وَأَكْوَابٌ. What is the rule in وَأَكْوَابٌ?
If they are bigger.
What's the proof?
We have a tanween followed by the letter mim, which is one of the letters of idgham.
So how do we say it exactly?
وَأَكْوَابٌ مَوْضُوعَةٌ.
Say it again. Just look at the mushaf.
وَأَكْوَابٌ مَوْضُوعَةٌ.
Are you trying to? I mean, the way I heard it is that you're trying to apply إخفاء to it. But the way we pronounce this is وَأَكْوَابٌ. You have to close your lips. وَأَكْوَابٌ مَوْضُوعَةٌ.
وَأَكْوَابٌ مَوْضُوعَةٌ.
So you knew exactly what the rule is, but you didn't really know how to put it into practice. And this you did the same thing in 2 or 3 ayat, because the ayah before it is also sururum marfu'a.
فيها سرور مرفوعة.
Yeah. You remember in the idgham, we are basically jumping from the noon to the next letter. Like here, we say may. So we are putting the emphasis in the next letter, as if we are jumping to the next letter. Sururum or akwabum mawdu'a. And you see they put a shadda there, so that to show that the emphasis is on the next letter. All right? Jazakallah khair. Right, brother Adil.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هل أتاك حديث غاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت.
Jazakallah khair. Brother Adil, in the last ayah that you read, the word ينظرون.
There is no sakina followed with the dha, and the dha is one of the letters of الإخفاء.
Do you agree with him? Everybody agrees? Did he practice it properly?
We need to hear it again.
Say again?
We need to hear it again.
Okay, one more time the last ayah, Brother.
أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت.
So? No objections? Alright, nobody objected. Jazakallah khair, Brother Adil. Brother Abdullah.
هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية.
Do you remember what we said about the ta marbuta at the end?
لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت.
Jazakallah khair. Ayah number 11, the word لاغية.
If you continue, we have حرف الفاء, which is حرف الفاء, and it's إخفاء.
Did you hear him? You agree with him? You don't agree with him?
It's not complete.
It's not complete. What did he miss?
But there's a tanween. If we continue, there's a tanween.
Right.
So we don't need to mention it, right? So
that's true. If you continue, this is the first word that you missed.
Yeah.
We have a tanween. I think you did mention if you continue.
Yeah.
But you mentioned it at the beginning.
But because you said like we doing like أحكام التنوين الساكنة, so right.
Well, if I'm asking you what the rule is, the reason you have to mention that there is a tanween, because otherwise there's no rule, right? Or if there is no nun sakin or tanween, then there is no rule. That's why you have to mention it. And the reason you have to mention if we continue at the beginning, because if you don't mention this, there is no tanween. If you don't continue, because it's going to turn into ha sakina, into a round ha, or a ha with the sukoon, because it's a ta marbota. All right. Otherwise, you knew what the rule is, just technical details. All right. Jazakallah khair. Brother Mus'ab.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت.
جزاك الله خير. The question for you is ayah number 7, the word ju'.
There's a ayn has a tanween, and so if you continue, then it would be an idgham without ghanna because of wow.
An idgham. Say again?
Yeah, idgham.
So if we continue, we have idgham.
No.
You want to say it again?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you have an idgham if you continue, because it's a tanween followed by a waw. And waw is one of the
All right. Jazakallah khair. You agree with him? Brother Sharif, you don't agree. You don't see money. What's wrong with what he said?
Incomplete. Which kind of idgham? You remember?
I said that one.
Okay. All right. Talk to me.
It's idgham with one, because waw is from the word yanmu, which is one of the.
So he missed saying it is idgham with ghunna?
He said without ghunna.
Yeah, so he missed saying that it is with ghunna instead of. What else did he miss? Anything else?
That's enough. It's incorrect.
All right. Jazakallah khair. Did he miss anything else?
Always from the letters of idgham with ghunna.
All right. The waw is he said one of the letters of idgham, but he should have added with the ghunna, and also he should have said if we continue at the beginning of your statement. If we continue, we have a tanween. You don't have to mention the ayn like you did. You don't have to mention that it's on the ayn. I understand that you wanted to be more specific, but it's sufficient to say, because I already mentioned the word ju'. So it is sufficient to say there is a tanween, and before that you say if we continue there is a tanween, and after the tanween there is a waw, and the waw is one of the letters of idgham with the ghunna. So we have an idgham with the ghunna. All right. Jazakallah khair. Brother Sharif.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة
عاملة
ناصبة
عاملة
ناصبة
أحسن
تصلى نارا حامية.
تصلى.
تصلى نارا حامية.
The lam is soft here. تصلى.
تصلى نارا حامية.
It's a challenging word. I don't know if you mentioned this word or you mentioned another word last time. No, I remember naran, but there was another word that we mentioned. I think it's Surah Al-Humaza. But this is similar to those words where the ta is soft and the sa is strong and then the lam is soft. So what you are doing, and I have to say, you have this issue of tafkhim and tarqiq more than anybody else here, just so that you know you need to work on it. But this is one of those words. You have to concentrate on one letter at a time. And if you are practicing at home, you just say one letter at a time slowly. You say ta, tas, la. You say it like this slowly. And then you join it together at a faster speed. Tas, la, tas, la, tas, la. Because here what most people do, the common mistake is that they would make the ta stronger because there is a sa after it. They would say ta, ta, tasla. Or they would say the lam, they would make the lam stronger. They would say tasla, la, tasla. But it's supposed to be tasla. Alright?
تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع.
What's the rule in min ضريع? من
حكم إخفاء لأن نون ساكنة أتت نون ساكنة يتبعها حرف الضاد والضاد من حروف الإخفاء.
You agree with him? He said it's a noon sakina followed by the da, and the da is one of the letters of ikhfa. So we have ikhfa. You agree with him? All right. Did he do it properly? That's the key question.
Okay.
So you didn't give it the good timing. You were too fast. Right? So min ضريع, longer.
ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع.
A lot longer. Plus we kind of heard the noon, right? So I know we need more time to practice, but you remember that the tongue shouldn't be touching the upper palate.
إلا من ضريع.
Longer. It's better, but you need to make it longer.
إلا من ضريع.
All right, that's better.
لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع.
You remember min ju'?
Yeah, it's إخفاء.
Yeah.
Jim is misleading.
So it's same. So same issue as min ضريع. Make it longer, a lot longer.
لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع. وجوه يومئذ ناعمة.
وجوه. What's the rule there?
ادغام بغنة.
All right.
وجوه يومئذ ناعمة.
A little bit longer than that. That's better, but a little bit longer.
وجوه يومئذ ناعمة.
Remember, this is not ikhfa, so you have to jump straight to the noon, straight to the ya. وجوه يومئذ.
I have a problem with when the tanween is dhamma.
I understand. We did mention it that it may be more difficult than other type of tanween. But let's imagine that we only have one dhamma, and then we jump. The next letter is the ya. وجوه. hui. Hui.
وجوه يومئذ ناعمة.
But just a little bit longer.
وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا
وزرابي say again
وزرابي وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت.
You remember what the rule is in ينظرون? We talked about it just a few minutes ago.
Okay. You mean like تخفيف تضخيم?
No.
About the noon?
About the noon.
Okay. إخفاء.
Alright, because you read it as if there was إظهار.
Okay.
Do you want to try it one more time?
Yeah. أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت.
Alright, Jazakallah khair, that's better. I guess you had enough questions for the day. Jazakallah khair. Brother Mahmoud.
هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Mahmoud. Ayah number 8, the word ناعمة.
القاعدة هنا إخفاء بدون غنة. النون التنوين followed by لامس is one of the حروف of إدغام بالنون.
Do you agree with him?
Which one?
ناعمة, ayah number 8.
Said إخفاء. He means like
إدغام.
He said the word إخفاء.
Yeah.
Alright. Maybe it was too easy. So you agree with him? Brother Mustafa, you don't agree?
If we continue.
If we continue, it should be at the beginning of the statement. Yeah. Alright. Everything else is cool?
Salam.
تفضل. جزاك الله خير Brother Mahmoud. Brother Hanif.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت.
جزاك الله خير Brother Hanif. Ayah number 4, the word حامية.
If we continue, then the tanween of حامية is followed by ta, which is one of the letters of إخفاء, so we apply the rule of إخفاء.
you memorize the letters of إخفاء, brother?
No. But I know that it's not one of the letters of Izhar as well as of Idgham and Iqlab. So it's the letter of Ikhfa.
Alright. Do you agree with him? Alright. Jazakallah khair. Everybody agrees. You don't agree, Brother Sharif? You don't agree? You do agree? Alright. Alright. Jazakallah khair. Brother Bassam is not here. Brother Ahmed.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت.
جزاك الله خير, Brother Ahmed. Ayah number 9, the word راضية.
If we continue, then we're gonna have tanween followed by fa, and fa is one of the letters of ikhfa, then it is gonna be ikhfa.
Do you agree with him? Was it too easy? Alright, Jazakallah khair, Brother Ahmed. Brother Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت.
جزاك الله خير, Brother Muhammad. Ayah number 16, مبثوثة.
So if we continue, we have tanween followed by hamza. Hamza is one of the letters of Tahar, so we have Tahar.
So how do we do it if we continue?
وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت.
Was it correct? A little bit shorter, Brother Baghdad is saying, and I agree with him. That, yes. Otherwise, you got the point. Jazakallah khair. Brother Mustafa.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت.
جزاك الله خير مصطفى. Ayah number 3, the word ناصية.
ناصية?
ناصبة, sorry.
So if we continue, we have tanween followed by a ta, and then ta is from ahraf of ikhfa, so we have ikhfa.
So how do we do it?
عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية.
One more time.
عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية.
All right. Do you agree with the way it was read? Kind of. What's wrong with it?
When he said ناصبة, wasn't إخفاء 100%?
Is there إخفاء 100% and 50% when it's on sale?
You can hear the noon like it.
So how would you read it, brother Abu Yahya?
ناصبة تصلى.
Well, read it as you normally would.
عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية.
So what do you think? Should be a little bit longer?
Yeah.
Abu Yahya or Brother Mustafa?
Both, actually.
Both. but the way he pronounced it, like, was it different?
I couldn't feel the noon, so I think.
Yeah. Well, I think both of you did hide the noon, but is it the perfect way of doing it?
No.
We'll see that inshallah next week. But both of them were hidden. But was it the best way of doing it? That's another question. We'll get to it inshallah next week.
I'm not going to be able to sleep now.
Practice then. Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Put it on his file. Jazakallah khair. Yahya?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية.
You see the ta at the end. We mentioned it several times to many people here. The ta at the end is going to turn into ha, right? So we want to be able to hear that ha at the end. ناعمة راضية عالية. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Try it again. Or continue.
فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت.
Jazakallah khair. The question for you is ayah number 4, Hamia.
Well, if you continue, there's a tanween at the end followed by a ta, so there's إخفاء.
Why?
Well, because ta is one of the letters of إخفاء.
All right, that's what I wanted to hear. Ta, yeah, that's correct. Ta is one of the letters of إخفاء. So we have إخفاء. Do you agree with him? So he missed something.
No, he added
He added something. He said the tanween at the end of the word. All right. So we don't have to say the tanween is at the end of the word because we know that the tanween always comes at the end of the word. So we don't have to mention at the end of the word. But otherwise it was correct. Jazakallah khair. Next we have Abu Yahya.
هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة.
The noon softer.
عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت.
جزاك الله خير. Ayah number 12, the word جارية.
جارية. So if we continue, we have tanween followed by fa. Fa is one of the letters of إخفاء, so it should be إخفاء.
إخفاء بغنة أو بدون غنة؟ What do you mean both? What do you mean both? So إخفاء بغنة أو بدون غنة؟ Just إخفاء. Do you agree with him? Okay, do you agree with him? So he didn't miss anything or add something? Alright. Alright, that's correct. Jazakallah khair. Brother Baghdad, the last one.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة.
What's the rule in يومئذ?
يومئذ there is tanween followed with the kha, each one of it's a letter, one of the letter of idhar. So there is the idhar.
So do you agree with him? Unless we didn't hear him. Did he read it properly? No. What did he do?
There's some gunna here. يومئذ خاشعة.
Yeah, you made it too long. You said يومئذ خاشعة. So don't make it too long.
وجوه يومئذ وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع
في جنة
عالية
أعد
في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت.
Barakallah khair. Ayah number 12, the word aynun. The word aynun, ayah number 12.
Okay. Aynun, there is tanween, follow with the letter Jim, which is one of the letter of Ikhfa. So we need to apply Ikhfa.
You agree with him? Alright. The way you were doing the Ikhfa, clearly you knew the rule, but you just need to practice, the issue of the tongue touching the upper palate. That means you were doing it properly, except that the tongue clearly was touching, so it was producing a noon sound. So you need to practice it during this week, and anyone else who has this issue. So let me read it now with the way we're going to read it next week, so that you have an idea on how to do it, because several times we had this issue where people didn't know what I meant by joining the ayat. So this is the way how it is done, and this is the way how you should practice it for next week. Next week we'll concentrate more on how to pronounce or apply the rule, more than the theory, where usually I'm asking you what is the rule here and what is the rule there. But next week we'll assume that you will know all the rules, because we have taken all the rules of nun sakin and tajweed and tanween. So you will know all the rules in this ayat. We just need to practice, put it into practice now. So I'm going to be joining all these 17 ayat, and this is how it is done, inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت. So that's how it is done, after taking many deep breaths, basically. So if you could maybe put a little bit more effort and practice this, and we'll talk more about the ikhfa. The ikhfa is just one rule. We're just going to talk about more details, but it's just one rule, right? So next week, inshallah, the ikhfa. And if you don't have any questions, we'll stop here, inshallah. Pray Salat al-Isha. جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.